Hello and welcome to vlog number 21. This week has been much more normal than the previous week. The new normal, the not going out normal. Well, I never went out anyway, but the not being allowed to go out, which somehow makes a difference. And I've had a better week in the hobbying. I've not done as much as I would have done prior to the CV panic for some reason. I've been quite busy with work, and I've also picked up some other development stuff for the hobbying community, which I'll be talking about more later on. But yeah, we got the gaming in this week, played some good games, which I will talk about later as well. And I've also put some progress in on a couple of the builds. So I will stop rambling now. I will go back to the beginning of the week, and I will see you again at the end of the video to talk about the other exciting stuff which is going on. Just a little in progress here in honour of Rob Bennett. I thought I'd open it like that. These are the beheaded snakes that I made. They're actually wriggly worms, and you can see that also I've put a couple of snakes in here. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some filler to build up the top of these, just to finish them off a bit, and then when that's dry I will come in and I will paint it in the sandy kind of, the purpley sand, the Africa. So I'd just like to show you that. I will zoom back out now as well and show, so you can see that I've started doing the actual sand on either side. You can see on that side and on that side. So yeah, this is coming on quite nicely. I still haven't actually started the roof one. That's going to have to be this week, and I'm going to be under some pressure for that. But hey, I like pressure. I'll keep going. I'll be back later with some more updates. We're entering the final stages of this build. I've just trimmed down and cut the piece of wood which is going to take the place of the roof. As you can see, it fits there. And I also did have to trim down the one that goes underneath as well. So what I'm now going to do is start designing how this is actually going to look. I have the humongous snake, which I'll bring it a shot here, to go on top. And what I'm currently thinking, I'm umming and ahhing about where it should sit, but I'm currently thinking that it should probably sit on top of a stepped kind of like pyramid type thing. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. But for the rest of it, it's going to be very, very simple. It's going to be a wall around the outside, or maybe not even a wall around the outside. I might do something a little different. I might just do crenellations. But yeah, hopefully this is not going to take me very much longer now. We're getting to the final stages. I'm not going to deny that the situation in the world is impacting me a little bit emotionally, and I'm struggling a little bit for motivation and to snap myself out of it, which is not really like me. I'm normally quite good at keeping going, but we shall see. I'm sure lots of other people are in worse situations than I am, and the fact that I can afford to spend a bit of time playing around with bits of wood and polystyrene to make models for no good reason other than just because I want to. I'm a far luckier person than most in the world, I'm sure. So onwards and upwards. I hope everyone else is keeping well, and yeah, I'll try to focus on the builds and stay clear of that if I can. It's the final few days of this build, and so I need to crack on with the roof. So what you can see is the ginormous snake, and what you can see is also the two boards which are going to take the roof. So this is the steps up, where the steps reach the roof. This area here goes over the top of the open mouth above the holiest place, and here is the full height entrance which goes right the way down to the bottom. So my plan is to build this area up in a series of steps, potentially even coming back over the centre line and beginning just this side of the two steps up, or the two where's the stairs come up, and build it up in a series of steps, maybe 2 or 3 steps, not very many, quite shallow, and then have the snake sitting on top looking forwards out over towards the hill, so that is something that is quite imposing as you climb up. I was thinking about putting it over the mouth, but I think there makes more sense. I also have some other stuff which I will be putting in and around the place, hopefully, if I get time, a couple more snakes and what have you to stick in. But mostly it's going to be, you're going to come up here, you're going to climb up the steps, and then there will be the big snake looking away towards over the front door, because that's where the front door is, down here. So I'm going to do some cutting and some working out and some drawing and things, and I'll be back with another update to show you where I get to when I've done a little bit more fettling. A quick in progress for the evening. What you can see is in the background. I'm watching the extras for The Hobbit, which is being really good fun. And I have made a good start on the platform, which is going to be for the large snake, which I mentioned. So this here will eventually sit on, I'll lift it up and out of the way without breaking it if I can. Yep, eventually sit on this platform here, kind of there, and will then butt up against the edge. And then I've also cut an extra bit that goes onto the next board, which will sit along out here on the other side. I've also decided that I'm going to do a solid wall around the edge rather than doing railings, and it will probably be around yay height, maybe a little lower, and it will just sit around the edge like that. So I'm going to start cutting that very shortly and getting that measured up and ready to glue in. I've got this piece going across the front and also going across either side of the join, which is a bit of an issue, but that'll just make it a feature. I'll put some steps over it or something, make it out to be something there. It's there because this is going to warp quite badly if I don't. So anyway, I just thought I'd do a very quick in progress, and now I'm going to turn the Hobbit extras back on and carry on doing my cutting. As I say, I'm probably going to work now as I wait for these all to dry with all the clamps. I'm probably going to work on the surrounding exterior wall, which is going to be about half the height of a model, so it literally is just going to be a low wall around the edge. The thing with a build this size is not necessarily so much the making of it, but it's all of the small processes that normally only take a minute or two on a smaller build, but on something like this take a good 20 or 30 minutes or even up to an hour. So what I'm doing here is I'm filling in the gaps around this, and I've been at this for quite a long time, and I'm just coming to the end of this section. But as you can see, there's just so much of it. I'm not complaining, I'm just more saying that when you're doing a big build, what you'll find is it's repetitiveness that kills your productivity. You need to kind of switch your brain off or talk to camera like I am and just get on with it. It's going to be worth it in the end, because I've just actually this morning put all the boards together for the first time to make sure everything fits. There's a very little bit of sanding needing to be done on the other roof section, which I was kind of aware would be there when I was making it, so I'm going to sand that down. But other than that, everything looks great, and I might even remember to put pictures up of what I just took just now, before I'd done this, before I started doing the filling on this section. So yeah, big builds. They're not horrible, they're not more complicated, they just take longer, that's all. And they take more materials as well, obviously. That's another thing to bear in mind, particularly in these times where materials are going to become harder to get for a while. So I think probably this will be my last mega build until the world is back to normal, whatever normal is. But it's a good way to go out for a mega build, isn't it? What an epic thing. Right, I'll stop muttering now, and I'll be back when I do the next step. But I just thought I'd share those thoughts. It's not complex doing something large, it takes more time. Okay, a quick update on the progress here. I've been making really good progress actually today. So I've put 2 coats of the mix of PVA and grout and sand or gravel or whatever over both of these upper sections. This is obviously the front section, and that's pretty much them done, which is amazing to me. This is Thursday, and this evening I've had a really good progress. They've dried quickly because I've got the fire lit. I've got a little bit more to do. I might mix up another mix later on, maybe tomorrow morning first thing, and put it over and touch up on these and on the other sections, because there are a couple of places where maybe it's not quite so great. However, that that is done. What I'm now about to do is some miniature painting and other detailing. So I have these from Hassle-Free Miniatures. There's a cultist leader, a cultist A, and a cultist bearer that I bought a long time ago and have just been in the stash. I think I'm going to make them up so they can be scattered around, and I also might look through some of the other things I had for a little while and scatter them around. I also have these snakes which you've seen previously, which I painted up earlier, which will be stuck on. I'll need to finish the paint job on them. They're not great, so I'm going to go along and finish the paint job on them, and they possibly will end up being stuck on here or something like that, so I'm going to do that. I have these two which I ordered for this build but I haven't yet used. So I have these vultures from Reaper Miniatures that I would like to paint up and add somewhere, maybe standing on one of the statues or whatever. And then I have this Vanderendra demon, which is some crazy snake woman. And it's an amazing model, absolutely wonderful. So I'm probably going to pop that on a stash as well and go and clean these up, get them undercoated and start painting them. Now this evening I'm not going to pull the camera along there because I'm literally just going to be cleaning them up and undercoating, but I will probably bring you along for the painting sessions when I do them. So yeah, it's been a really good evening. Going to go and do that. I've got the huge snake to paint as well, which will go on top of the platform on the other building, on the other section, and I've also got the actual altar to paint as well, so I'm going to go and do that now for a little bit. So yeah, good progress this evening. Finished the day off well. I've woken up this morning and I've realised that I did actually mean to put some more of my cast snakes around here and also along the sides. So that's a bit annoying because, as you can see, I've already painted all of the sand on, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll just glue them over and then paint over the top and it'll be fine. What you can also see is that the ginormous snake is making some progress. I've put a very light red wash over the front there, the breast, and all the way around, and I'm actually not going to stick this on. It's going to be just sat on so that it doesn't get damaged when it's being stored, and also so I can make use of this in other purposes. There's a little bit more to be done on this. I'm going to give it a very light white grey or light grey dry brush just to bring out some of the texture, and I might put some more coloration on the roof. Ha! Got roof on the mind, on the head, on top of the head. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to sand down some of these plaster snakes and stick them on where I want them, and I'll be back later to show you how that looks. So it's been quite a long time since I did this project, and I have done a few short clips on it which you will have seen as part of the collection, which I'll put together when it's completed. However, this is almost a complete reset. What I'm doing is I'm putting together a display of shells and stones that myself, Angela and Rosie collected last year now on Thassos, on our holiday, on our first family holiday with Rosie. It was absolutely wonderful holiday, best thing ever, brilliant, and I can't wait to get back there, though obviously I'll have to now for a little bit. What I did was, before Christmas, again, it's been a long time that I've been planning this and I've just been so busy with other things I've not got to it. Before Christmas I picked up some deep picture frames. So they're picture frames that, let me grab it, that look like this. So they have little clips in, and they're basically, it says it's for postcards, so a postcard photo frame. It's very deep, as you can see. And what I think that is going to be absolutely perfect for sticking, and let me reach this professional video that I'm doing. These are the things that I saved. So there's some nice shells that are interesting that I dived for, and there's some interesting shaped rocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that pack of the photo frame and arrange them and stick them in, and I'm also going to be doing some nice text to describe what it is, but I'd like to get this done because I would very much like this to go up in Rosie's bedroom, which is now complete and nearly ready, with Rosie's hobbit hole as well, so I'd like this to go up in there as well. So I'm going to point the camera down and show you how I'm going to do this, and hopefully now that I've got this photo frame, I was going to make my own, but I haven't got time, and now haven't got the materials because of the CV that's going around. So I'll point the camera down and we'll see how well this works. Right then, you can see this is quite a large frame. It's what, 50 centimetres wide-ish, something like that. So it should be big enough for what I'm trying to do. And it is still in its single-use wrapping. Yuck. I hate that. I do like these little clips that it comes with, so I might try and save those and use them for something else. But let's get this unwrapped. Right, let's have a look, see how these are stuck on. These are stuck on with glue, from the looks of it. So I will get in with my knife, and I will attempt to unstick them very carefully. I don't want to ruin this nice Hessian backing if I can help it. However, if I do end up putting a hole in it, what I will do is I will put one of my items over it. So I am making a little hole as I remove it, but that's not that difficult to do. So I'm going to get on and remove the rest of these. There we are. Now let's get to these little items, and as you can see, they are going to project a little bit, and that one particularly. But I think they're still going to look really nice. So we have quite a lot of stuff here. We have stones and we have little shells, which aren't going to show up very well on the background. So I may need to think about that. There we are. Those are the items that I've got. So what I'm going to do now is off camera, because this is becoming a long clip, and also I need to look at batteries. I'm going to arrange those, work out where I'm going to put them, and I'll come back when I'm ready to show you the next step. That did not take me very long at all, and I'm pretty happy with how that looks. But the only thing I might do is lift that up a little bit, because I might put some textile on the bottom. But I'm going to let that settle. But I think that's a really good arrangement. So what you can see is I'm covering over all the little holes that I made with my stones here. And then I've done it in a kind of equal. So yeah, you can see that it's that they've got a stone here and a shell there. But apart from that, it looks the same. I could make it so that I have a stone there and put the shell there, but I'm not sure I like that, and it leaves a little bit of other stuff that I don't want to see showing. So I think that's a good shape. I'm going to let that, as I say, let that settle. I'm going to work out about my text, and I'll be back in a little bit when I have got that ready and printed out and ready to stick on, and see whether I'm going to shift this all up slightly so that I can fit things along the bottom. But I think that looks really well. There we are. I've printed this out. I just did it in Word. Simple. Thassos 2019, first family holiday. Kind of it wasn't in a sense, because we'd already been back for my father's funeral, sadly, shortly before. But that wasn't really a holiday. That was enforced on us. It was a really nice time, as nice as you can expect for such a difficult period of life. I won't go into that now, but this was our first proper family holiday. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to get my PVA, which is what I'm going to use to stick most of it down. These bigger rocks I'm going to stick down with gator glue, but I'm going to do, you can see that with the gator glue, but I'm going to need to make sure that I weight them down pretty well. So I'm not going to do them first of all, I'm going to do the littler rocks first. So I have my famous dinner plate and a rough brush, and I'm going to dump a little bit of PVA on the plate and stick each of these little things in place. And I think PVA is going to be absolutely sufficient for this task, for these small items. I will want to make sure that it doesn't get too badly, oh, dropped it, doesn't get too badly knocked, but I won't be able to put a cover over the top of it, obviously, because this is way too high. But these smaller ones should glue in nicely, and I'm pretty sure, there we are. I think that the original stuff was stuck down with something very similar to PVA as well anyway. That one's going to be a bit more fiddly. But what I'll be doing is I'll just be leaving this now for a good few hours, if not until tomorrow even. And then tomorrow I will be along to do the other bits, and I might find that this one here does need to be glued down with the gator glue, but there we are. So the small ones are glued down. This I'm going to spray with contact adhesive outside and bring it in and stick it on, because PVA will cause the printer ink to run, which is not ideal. So I will get this done now, and I'll be back later to show you what it looks like with the gator glue. I'm back in room 13 with my painting desk. I've brought all of my paints and everything back through, because that's what we will need to do for the rest of our general life. It's quite nice actually, but it's more than quite nice. It's much better. There's much better illumination here. Last night I did quite a lot of painting, but I couldn't film or do anything because it was very late, and so I wasn't able to even do any short to cameras. So what I'm going to do now is show you what I've done, and I did take some pictures on my phone of the paints that I used so I could remember. So what I will do is I will now flash them up, and I'll put text to say what each of them is for. So now you've seen that. Here is the demon woman, snake goddess type thing, which is not focusing. There we are. Which I've made quite a bit of progress on. I've even done a little bit more since last night, which is the green on the tail. The green on the tail was actually done with black green from Vallejo, which is not 70980. That's 70980. That's the colour on the tail, and that was Angela's suggestion. You should always listen to your artist girlfriend. So this is one from Reaper Miniatures. I will just reach over and grab the box so I can show you what it is. So here is the box for the Vanderendra Demon, which is what that is, whatever Vanderendra Demon is. So the other three miniatures you see that I've painted up are from Hassle Free, and they are their cultists. So you've got the cultist leader, the cultist bearer, and cultist number 2. And I've painted them up and I'm quite pleased with them. They've got a little bit more to be done. I might tone the skin down to be slightly less orange, but I'm really pleased with how those are coming on. And when they need to be finished soon, because they need to be done for the temple build also, obviously. So I'm going to base them, going to use the same technique for basing them as I've done for the entirety of the temple, so they will get the sand and grout mix on the base, and that should look really well. So I'm maybe going to get some time to paint a bit more this evening, and if I do, I will invite you along. I have some other things to paint which are here, which is some awesome Reaper vultures. So I'm going to probably put 1 or 2 of those on the temple as it stands now, and I've got 2 sets of 3, so keep the other ones for the main board, which will be happening at some point in the future. So there we are, that's a little update. What I'll now do is take you through into the games room, and I will show you the actual temple, because it is pretty much finished, very nearly finished, and I want to just talk you through it, take it apart, and show you all the levels so you can see how it looks. So you'll have that's coming up next. So here we have it in all its glory, assembled and everything. I'll be taking some much more detailed pictures, obviously, with much better lighting. This is just with the generic lighting that is in the games room. So yeah, so this is 3 floors, so they all come apart. We've got the ginormous snake, which is separate. I've not glued that on deliberately because I don't want to risk it getting damaged when I'm moving it around. And also I can make use of it in other settings. But that's basically the highest place. You can see that you've got steps to get up onto it, and it can be approached, but yeah, so that's the idea there. And back here we've got steps. These are the 2 access points that have stairways, which you'll see very shortly. So if I pull that snake out of the way and lift this section, you can see here, I can put my hand all the way in and down. This goes right the way down to the entrance courtyard. So it basically has access right the way through, and there's a balcony there, and then the balcony here to look down. Now, they don't believe in health and safety, so there's no railings. There may be at some point in the future, but right now I haven't yet worked out how I want to do that. So if I lift this front bit off, like so, this is able to be lifted off and put over here, out of the way. So you can see there that the top lifts off very easily and reveals the next layer. And likewise, so does this one. So there's the first playable layer. Now, each area is separated, each side is separated. We have stairs coming up on this side and stairs coming up on that side. Over here we have snaky kind of like bars going through and looking down into this area, which you will see very shortly. It's a shame one says you need to look at this from both ends, so I will put some pictures up in a second. That's the holiest area, and there's colonnades on each side, so you can go through each of these, and there's one doorway between the two sides. And the concept here is that this is the female side and this is the male side, or vice versa, and never the twain shall meet, because they're regressive religious people who don't think that the sexes should meet or whatever. But yeah, so that's the idea. It's a big open plan area, this level, but it does have lots of archways, like I say, to make it interesting. Now the sexes can get through this door, which probably would be shut, then probably put a door in there. But there is the balcony here, which is around the courtyard, so that's about the only place that they will be able to mingle. But this potentially will be locked off, this door here. But yeah, so that's that. So what I will do now is I will lift the front section off so that I can show you the way that this is. Well, wasn't that exciting? That looked very, very dramatic, and it is dramatic, but I can fix it. I've just gone away and had a look. I picked it up by the wrong bit, which is something you should never do when you know that you have a weak point, which are those stairs. So as I was trying to show you, notwithstanding the fact that I've broken them, and I'll have to show you how I'm going to fix it, we have fangs on the front there, as you can see. So that's that level. And that now reveals, when I lift this out of the way, the ground floor. Now the ground floor is the most interesting floor in terms of space to move and other things. We have at the front, we have the stake pit, which I've shown you, and we have the two guardians. Then we have a corridor going right down through the middle, which leads to the snake, which is where the commoners can worship. On the other side of that wall is the tongue, which is where the high priest, which you've just seen, I've been painting up, and there is the altar. And here is where the stairs come up on either side, and we've got a couple of rooms here. So there's a lot more of an interesting shape, a lot more playability in there, and you can see that the corridor comes round out of the courtyard round and to the stairs to come up. So that's the temple. I'm now going to go and fix my breakage, and I want to invite you along for that. I'm really, really pleased with it. I know that that was a bit of a dramatic moment, but it's not as bad as it looked, and I will get that repaired. I have a couple of days, so that should dry off. So yeah, oops, never mind. I can tell you I was this close to not showing any of this clip, but in the, yeah, we all make mistakes. I make more than most. I'm back here much sooner than I expected to be after that dramatic moment then. I don't know if I swore. I certainly did in my head. I hope I didn't on camera, but it is what it is. So what we have here is the broken stairs. Now you can see just how narrow that section is, and that's why I had a mental note that completely went out of my mind in the excitement of filming that I should never, ever, ever pick up by there. So what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of a lump of polystyrene, of the blue foam, which is what I've made this all with, and I'm going to do quite a substantial fix. I'm not going to do this in small measures. I'm going to stick that across here, and that will make it very, very secure, hopefully. So we will clamp that in place and leave that to dry for the next little while. I may even go back in and do this as a retrofit on the other stairway as well, so that if ever I make that stupid mistake again, which I probably never will, but you never know, it doesn't happen. So there we are. So that's that. So that will make that very secure now and not fall off. The other part is this, which is that goes like that, if you can see what I mean. Now that's going to be fixed in basically the same way. I'm going to put a lump here. So I have another bit of blue foam next to me, and I will now do the same thing. So we will cut that out. We'll cut a length. There we are. We'll get some more clamps. Like so. Just make sure I'm not going to do this wrong. Like so, there we are. Yep, that's like that. So that can go in there and secure that. So what we'll do, actually I'm going to have to trim a little bit off because of that. So what we'll do is we'll clamp that on there. Like so. And then we'll put that down like that. And I will be painting more of my mix over the top, so I will just go woof with the cocktail stick right through. Like so. And another one. And as I say, this will need, this will need some more grout and sand mix painted on it anyway. Right, so that's fixed that tragedy. And when that's gone off, I will go and fit that back in place on the actual model, and it'll be like nothing ever went wrong. And only me and you will know that it even happened. It's towards the end of the evening, and the gator glue has now dried on this. So what I'm going to do is I've mixed up some more of my sand mix, and I'm just going to put it on quite thickly. And you can see that actually there was quite a lot of stuff that was missed before because I couldn't reach it. So this is good because it means I can paint over that and make it all a little more uniform. Now obviously I'm going to need to do some more of this when I put this in place, but that is now going to be good, and I'll leave that to dry overnight, and tomorrow I will fit that in place on the model and then patch up the rest of the sand paint in the right places. So there we are. So that's that. That section is now good as new-ish. So yeah, so we'll dry that, leave that to dry over here. The next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to use this same basing material, like I've said, and I'm going to put it onto each of these miniatures, which I painted last night. So I have a slightly smaller brush, and I'm carefully going to go in and dip it in and push it around. I might actually get an even smaller brush in a second. Right, I'm going to grab myself a different brush, and also I'm going to fill those holes in with blue tack or something like that. So I'll be back when this is all done and show you what it looks like. So there we have it. That was the week. What a dramatic end to the week. What an idiot. but at least it's salvable, and tomorrow during the day I will get that completely repaired, which I will show you next week in the vlog, because I'm going to wrap this up now obviously, and that's a bit of a relief. It was a bit of a moment then, but I didn't swear. I've worked out, I've watched the video back editing. So I mentioned about something exciting that I've also been working on. This is a group build which is going to be talked about more on this channel and maybe a few others as well, called Crown Port. Now, as coronavirus locks us all down and isolates us and forces us all to have more time for hobbying, maybe, well, me less, but yeah, there's a awesome thing that has been suggested on one of the Discord groups I'm a part of, that we all work together to build a city, each of us building a building or two, and then the original idea was maybe that we even ship them to someone, but I think that shipping might be a little bit of a blocker to some people getting involved. So what I've done is I've been writing a website, which is very nearly done, called crownport.net, where you can claim a plot in this online virtual city, which is going to be built in real life, and then build that, put a building on it, take pictures, shoot videos, do whatever, write some text, excuse me, itchy nose, and upload those to the site so that we can all see the progress that you're making. So it isn't live just yet, it's nearly done. There is something there, so you can go and visit, and I'll link to it in the video description below. And when it is live, I'll obviously put a video live, and a few other people might as well. I'm hoping that this might take off a bit. It'd be really cool to get the whole community put in together to do builds. So anyway, that's what that is. I will now sign this off. I have no cup of tea to toast you. I do apologise, it's late. I've finished my brew and I'm looking forward to getting to bed. But I will sign off as traditional by saying, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so, and don't forget to ding the bell, because when you ding the bell, YouTube tells you when one of my videos goes live. And last, but by no means least, thank you so much for watching Beard Clipper, and please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well.